When I look back at the men I chose to love, it's clear now. I wasn't choosing with my heart. I was choosing with my trauma. I was a dismissive, avoidant attachment style woman who had no clue of what a healthy, secured attachment style of loving was. Welcome, my loves, to the Hardened and Healed Podcast. Hey, loves, I'm home. Hey, loves, sit on down. So first, I want to thank you so much again for allowing me into your home once again for this fabulous podcast, breaking generational cycles, breaking trauma, breaking drama, the Hardened and Healed Podcast. Now, I realize that I am on episode number 5, and I have not formally introduced myself. So my name is London Wilson. I am a licensed cosmetologist. I have been a hairstylist and a makeup artist for almost 30 years now. I'm not going to be too exact about that because I'm not trying to tell my age. But just a little bit of background about me. I have 3 children. They are all young adults. The youngest is 18. He'll be 19 this year. And the others are out of the home. So I guess it's safe to say that me and my spouse are almost empty nesters. Aside from that, in my spare time, I like to hang out with friends. I like good eating. I love traveling. I hope to do more of that in the future. But I also like pouring into my family, my friends, and most importantly, my clients. And the reason why I say most importantly is because I have come across so many women and a few men over my lifespan of being a hairstylist. And you hear so many stories, so many tragedies, but so many triumphs. And I get a chance to pick their brain, but also bring words of encouragement and words of inspiration. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a motivational speaker because I'm not necessarily trying to push people to do certain things, but I am definitely an encouraging person. And I try to encourage people in the space that they're in and how to see things differently. So it definitely became a responsibility for me when I realized how childhood trauma was affecting me in my adulthood life. It was like that light bulb went off. I had like an aha moment and I was connecting the dots. And to get healing, you have to first find the wound, right? Without finding where the damage was done, then there's no way that you can repair it. So I feel like a lot of adults are walking around thinking that they're unhurt, unharmed, unendangered because childhood trauma or any trauma always seems like physical abuse or sexual abuse or verbal abuse. But mental and emotional, I believe, most times go unnoticed. And I'm so thankful that we're now at a place in society where we're acknowledging mental health and the importance of it and seeking help and counseling. But to be honest, it is almost impossible to have great mental health if you don't have great emotional health. If you don't even have emotional balance, it becomes hard to regulate what's going on upstairs when your heart is protruding something else. So with this podcast, my aim and my journey is to just kind of help people pull back the wool from over their eyes and be able to say, you know what? I am a little troubled. And now this is all making sense. Like, I didn't realize that, or I see why this is that and why that is this. I understand now the choices that I make. I understand now the moves that I make. I understand the understanding that I have. All of that is directly connected to your childhood. And I don't want people to be offended by childhood trauma, like it's almost saying that something is wrong with you. It isn't. It's just saying that during childhood, there were things that you experienced that caused trauma. And so in that trauma actually alters your behavior. It's like if you touched the stove as a kid and you burned your fingers, it probably was a long time before you touched the stove again, right? That was that experience that you had. You identified the stove with pain, with heat, with fire, and you stayed away. So trauma is kind of that. Some traumas are way more impactful than others, but even the smallest of things can cause trauma. And even as simple as being in high school or being in middle school and being left out, being the last one picked, right? Have y'all ever been like on a softball field or let's say cheerleading practice or anything of that sort, and you there's a part of you that want to go before everybody, you want to lead the team, you want to come first, and you're never selected. Never selected. And it could be for one or two reasons. Maybe you're not that great at it, right? But the other option is that you're just overlooked. And that is going to be triggering for you if you feel overlooked in your home. So the triggers come from the trauma itself. And it's basically when somebody does something very similar to a bad experience that you had. And so you identify those type of situations, those type of experiences with that trauma. But before we get into deeply diving into that, I want to say thank you so much to all of you who have watched every single episode, that is 1 through 4, and those of you who identify with your attachment style behaviors. So if you are unfamiliar with them, I'm going to go ahead and list them again. I implore you to log online. There are quite a few of these test assessments that you can take. And so just to kind of give a little bit of a breakdown, there is secured attachment style, and then there is unsecured attachment style. Under the umbrella of unsecured attachment style, that is dismissive, fearful, avoidant, and anxious. And fearful, avoidant, and disorganized avoidant attachment style are one and the same for the most part. It just means that you have a combination of all these attachment styles. Okay. So come on in. Let me get you in a little bit closer, right? So we can get into the tea of things. So I feel like there's no way for me to have these conversations and these discussions without being transparent myself. I have had results of childhood trauma just based off of regular run-of-the-mill things, right? I grew up with a single mom. That could be trauma. I became a single mom. That becomes trauma, right? Because if you had a strong single mom when you were coming up, when the tables turn and now you become a mother and the relationships do not work with the parent or with the father of your children or mother of your children, you figure, my mom did this, I could do this. My dad did this, I could do this. And so you develop the idea that there's nothing wrong with it. But in fact, there is. There definitely is a wrongness in that that's not the system of things. That's not how God ordained it, right? God ordained for us to be in partnership, for us to be one, for us to be married and be one unit. So that ideally is what God's intention was. However, it's not always his will that we follow. Sometimes we follow our own. And our decision choice making comes a lot from our childhood. So, which brings me to a really good topic or subject, I should say, because there's always this thing where men think that women want bad guys. Women want the men that curse them out, beat on them, don't treat them right, disrespectful. And I am here to say, and I'm not a fan of bad boys. They've never been my type. But that is not the case. And I'm going to give you direct correlation to that in just a second. Okay, so bad boys and why women love them. It honestly isn't really the bad behavior. It is what comes with that bad behavior. Most times bad boys they exude a sense of strength, a sense of protectiveness. So aside from maybe any physical abuse, because not all bad boys do that. The nice guys do it too. But aside from that, it could be resonating in the fact that usually bad boys are doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing financially. And we're not going to go into details, but I'll let you use your imagination with that, right? And so if they're doing anything illegally, money-wise, or maybe not even illegally, they could be an athlete or an actor or just somebody very prominent in the community, right? But they have a lot of money. They tend to provide a sense of security. This goes right back to the ideology of your mom saying you want to find somebody that's going to be able to provide for you and take good care of you. And the Bible speaks of it, right? So this is not just women just decided they wanted to be taken care of. This is not that. This is really the order that God would have it, at least from your husband. Now, I don't know about baby daddies and boyfriends and sneaky links, but from your husband, this is expected. So when women who have come from a childhood background where there may have been an absent father, there may have been a father who was there, but maybe not the head of the household. So for whatever reason, he wasn't providing, whether he was unemployed or maybe just kind of lazy, or maybe some form of drug abuse, so he couldn't keep a job, or if he did, he had like a minimum paying job. Anything that caused financial lack in the home would cause some women to draw to men with money. I'm going to say that again. Some women who grew up with a lack of money, financial stability, financial capability within a home, when they grow up, will sometimes navigate to men with money. Now, who are those men? You guessed it. Bad boys and others as such. That is one thing. But also, bad boys tend to be tough. They tend to, if anything, they are the instigators. They are the initiators. They don't mind walking up. They don't mind being confrontational. They don't mind standing in front. They have a very toe-to-toe type of energy. And so for women who as little girls may have grown up in a home where they didn't feel protected, there may have been some type of other physical assault or abuse that happened within the home, whether it was from a biological father or a stepfather or an uncle or a cousin, right? They felt insecure. They felt like nobody was there to protect them. This would also be a reason for a woman to be drawn to a bad boy, because a bad boy is very territorial. He's not letting anybody or anything get around his possessions. And unfortunately, sometimes they see women as possessions, and women often feel that way. So when that is happening, that is creating a sense of security that this young lady has never felt before. So you tie the sense of security and protection along with financial stability. If that is at the forefront of this young lady's need, then she's going to sacrifice all the other stuff for it. That could be respect. That could be abuse. That could be neglect. That could be all these other things that come along with the bad boy character. So while we're sitting here thinking of all the things that we wouldn't deal with, things we wouldn't put up with, we're not thinking about the things that they are receiving in these relationships that make them stay, that make them stick it out. So it's one of those things that you have to kind of think of the back end. One of the pastors that I absolutely love is PMJ, and I love the fact that he always talks about the front and the back. A lot of times we only think about the front side of stuff and we don't understand the flip side. So that would be the reason. This is also directly connected to gold diggers. So I know jokingly people say, oh, women want a man to provide something they can't provide for themselves. I mean, is that not the point? Why would you not? Now, that shouldn't solely be the case, but would you want somebody who could not carry you if need be? No, no. Even the most successful man would want a woman who, even if she couldn't bring money to the table, she could bring something else. She has to have other attributes, right? We have to be able to be in the gap of our partners, of our spouses. And so if you are with an individual who is not speaking to that area of lack that you had from childhood trauma, it's going to cause a lot of friction within that relationship. So there are times when in our selection choice, we are picking based off of lack, based off of need. And so when that need changes, so does the dynamic of the relationship. This is why a man can come in and pay all the bills and a woman is totally silent. And then something happens and the man says, you have to get a job now. And the woman is looking like, absolutely not. Like, I didn't sign up for that. It makes the woman look extremely selfish for not saying, absolutely, babe, I got you. Like, we're going to get it out the mud. We're going to do this together. We're going to tag team it. We're going to win together. It looks very selfish, but what it is it's actually triggering. Now, I'm not excusing selfish because it is, but it's also very triggering because it's now taking her back to a place where she may have had to fill in the gap. She may have been, and I'll say this even more so for men. There are a lot of men that are in middle school and high school that are working while in school and helping to pay bills. I'm not talking about a cell phone bill. I'm not talking about the car insurance for the car that they drive. I'm not talking about their Netflix and Hulu account. I'm talking about actual bills. Light bill, water bill, something on the rent. That's a lot of responsibility. And I don't want to make this solely a woman thing, but this also is directly connected to men and their childhood trauma as well, because a man may very well pick a woman who's needy because his mom was. His mom was. Sometimes we women, we question men's selection, especially if we've been with the man first and then he has somebody that's totally opposite of us. Usually she's totally opposite because he realized that you did not supply the need that he thought he needed, right? You supplied the need that he wanted. But when the rubber really met the road, he realized that it was something a little bit more that he needed. So a man is not going to appreciate a strong woman if he needs a woman that is emotionally softer, that is going to put his head in her lap, that is going to kiss his ear and stroke his hair. He may want the strong woman because he's strong and he's looking like, we a team, we be in Hove, I'm not going to say them, but not that they're not strong, but some people beg to differ. But I'm just saying, as an example, everybody wants to be a power couple, but not all men need power from their women. And then on the flip side, there are men that do. There are some men that are only as good as the woman that they're with, because they don't really have intentions on all this extra stuff or this grander life. Same thing with women. There are women that don't need all the glitz and the glamour, the makeup and whatever it takes. And so when we're partnering based on our wants. And if our wants aren't the same as our needs, there's going to be a problem. Because we will marry based on our wants and then be lacking in the area of our needs. And this really causes a conflict because our needs are going to be the needs of our childhood. That's why I know people are going to get the bag. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to put this on a t-shirt. So don't none of y'all do this. But we got to go back and get the baby. And who is the baby? Us. We have to go back and get ourselves. We have to go back and rehabilitate that child that lies within. We have to go back and assess the damage and then work that thing out. And I'm going to tell you, first and foremost is prayer. You have to go to God and say, Lord, show me me. I did that. I think I told y'all that. I did that. He did. So I'm just going to say, put your helmet on. So when you ask that, put your helmet on. Know it's going to be a crash course. Know it's going to be a lot. Or, God is very gracious. He may give you a little bit at a time based on what you can actually handle. But we have to go back to childhood and be able to access or take time out to acknowledge the damage. And when I say damage, I know all of this just sounds so harsh because it just makes it sound like everybody had this horrible childhood. Trauma is just trauma, right? So you can make it little trauma, you can make it big trauma, you can make it whatever you want to make it. But if it's affecting your decision making, it is trauma. And you want to just be mindful that a lot of our choices, a lot of our choosing is based off of old experiences. So how do we develop new experiences if we're still wallowing in old experiences? Nobody's going back to get us. Nobody. Mama not, daddy not, mama, peepaw, hee-haw, whatever you call it, they're not either. You have to go back and check on you. You have to go back and get you. Go back and get the baby. Get the baby. I don't care what age that is. There are studies, and I may put one in here, that say that children or people are who they're going to be by the age of 7. Believe it or not, there's a lot that happens between birth and age 7. A lot. Most that you probably don't remember, but the things that you do are the things that stick with you. So when you are now interacting with your peers, and around 7 is about 2nd grade. So at this point, you're even able to read, or should be able to read. But this is now when you are not you're not in friendships with the entire class. You now are more selective. When you're in kindergarten and stuff like that, you play with whoever will play with you, and whoever don't. But around 2nd grade, you are more particular about who is your bestie, who is the homie. And even if it's not long-lived past elementary school or primary school, as some people say, it still is you now establishing a picker. A picker. So no, you're not going to find the doughboy when you're in elementary school. Of course not. You're not going to find the bad. You know what? You will find the bad boy. You will. If a few of you were excited about Jeremy, who used to get kicked out of class, Jeremy who had to go down to the principal's office, or somebody had to remove him, and then Jeremy see you in the hall and you smiling in Jeremy's face, baby, childhood trauma is on go, because you should be terrified by Jeremy, not drawn to him. And I'm sorry for the Jeremys out there. Few of you are actually bad boys. Just go ahead and own it. But for those of you that are not, I am not speaking about you. I promise. But that is like the beginning of the picker. Even for guys, like in 1st and 2nd grade, and now you notice Sally. I don't know why Sally came to mind, but you know Sally likes you. You may decide that you don't like Sally, but Sally is super clingy. She follows you around. She wants to do little nice things for you. She brings you a mud pie. And so you just Sally kind of grows on you. Because Sally might be giving you attention that you don't actually get from mama at home. Or maybe you're in a household full of siblings and you're the only boy and it's all girls. And they don't have you to think about. You are left out. Like you the boy, how they say the cheese stands alone? You're standing alone. But you get to school and you ain't really a fan. In fact, you don't really like Sally. You like Susan. But Susan ain't checking for you. But Sally is all up in here. She's all in your grill. And so you kind of take a liking to Sally, you know. People ask you got a girlfriend? Oh yeah, and it's Sally. Sally over there cheesing and stuff. She trying to figure out what she gonna get her mama to bring you. She wants you to be her Valentine. We talking about 2nd grade. Sally's crushing hard. And Sally's crushing because of whatever it is that she sees within her home. Maybe her mama's always doting over her father. Maybe her mom is always excited about her dad, or very nurturing, or very loving, or very hands-on. And so Sally sees that, and that's what she wants to be. All right. That now comes natural to her because this is what her childhood experience is. So in conclusion, do women love bad boys? No, not directly. And there's going to be some women out here that just do. But I would just say it's deeper than just the bad boy itself. I'll put it like this. They don't love the bad attributes of a bad boy. I will say that. They don't like. There are some other attributes that we are not acknowledging. That is what keeps them drawn, what keeps them connected. I saw a video. This was years ago, pre-COVID. I don't know why I say pre-COVID. Like it gives me... Like when in the Bible, when they were like before Jesus, like BC, before Christ, or after Christ, like, I don't know. I just feel like life is different before COVID than after. But anyway, I saw this video and y'all are probably familiar with this video. Like it's an older video, but in today's time, it would absolutely go viral if it hadn't already. But there's this lady, she is in the line. It looks like they're in a line like at a DMV or something like that. And her and this guy get into it. And she's cursing this man out like a dog. So to me, she's kind of winning the argument. Like there's no need for reinforcement. But she goes outside and she gets her boo thing. I don't know if it was a husband, a boyfriend, All I know that he was 10 toes down for her. And he came in, didn't even get the full story. She just kind of pointed like, this is the guy that's giving me problems. And he just, two-piece the dude, just dropped him on the floor. And she's looking like, yeah. And like everybody is shocked. The guy gets up, his mouth is bloody, he's woozy. They're trying to help him. And I can't remember if the guy hit him again, but I know those first couple of blows, it wiped the dude out. Now here's the catch in all of that. I'm going to say if I put myself in that predicament, if I were in that predicament, and this is just because clearly me and this lady's background is totally different, right? If I were in that predicament and I am there arguing with this guy and it stays as an argument, I would leave it like that. I would probably leave the facility and tell my husband a little later, because depending on who you have in the car or outside waiting determines whether or not this is a conversation that you have at a later date and time or that you have in the moment. Now, based on the spouse that I have, I'm not talking about this. If at all, or maybe once we get home, because my husband's coming in there. Now, I do believe that there would be a conversation first, like, bro, what's your problem? Da 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 da. But because of the companion that I have, I know there's levels. And everybody level don't go to 1,000. You might have a significant other who level is maybe 50, 55. So he may not even get out the car. He may tell you, just hurry it up and come on. Like, oh, be quiet. Don't start no stuff with anybody in there. You know how your mouth go. You being extra. Or if that man lay you out, you on your own. So you might want to be quiet while you're in there. And then there's the men that's going to come in there and rock 'em, sock 'em robot. You know what I mean? Like, all bets are off. So I'm aware that this woman knew who she had outside. And she knew with whatever verbiage she gave him what it was going to be when he came in. And so for her to be able to get him riled up, have him come in there and respond like that is a form of childhood trauma that says, I am being violated right now. So that man she's arguing with is triggering. This is triggering. There's some form of direct disrespect that she's identifying with. And now she may have never been protected in a situation like this before. So now she's going for backup because she knows that she has somebody outside that's going to make it happen. Me, on the other hand, because it was maybe a little bit of an escalated event, not to the point where I want this person beat up. Like, we can agree to disagree and move on, and not be a conversation after I leave. So that goes to show not only our partner choicing, but what triggers us and how we respond to it. So that wouldn't have triggered me enough to say, and this guy needs to shed blood, or this guy needs to be dealt with. That wouldn't have triggered me in that way, because there's a part of compassion for me that says, this ain't gonna be good. Now, don't get me wrong, I will call my husband in for reinforcement, but I have to kind of feel like a threat is intended in that way. But if y'all have ever seen that video, y'all kind of know what I'm talking about. It went from 0 to 1,000 really quick. And she was good with it. She was absolutely good with it. Think about, there's some people who can watch somebody get bludgeoned to death or just beat and bloodied and not flinch. And there's other people that have to look away. They can't bear to see it. They're identifying with some form of trauma. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So back to bad boys versus good boys, right? There is several reasons why the woman is picking a bad boy. So this is, and I say that too because, I have male cousins, uncles, just men in general who will say stuff like that. And it always kind of irks my soul because I feel like they think that women out there really just don't want to be respected. And it's not true. It's so not true. Or they feel like, yeah, a woman understands when I'm bopping her upside her head, or she understands when I'm cursing her out like a dog. And we just have to get away from making that a reality. Because it's a false reality. It's a reality, but the reasoning is misconstrued. So am I advocating for the women who like bad boys? Yes, I am, because I understand what comes with a bad boy. Like the thrill, the excitement, all that stuff. You might have been a sheltered kid growing up, never could go anywhere, never could do anything. So now you get a bad boy and he's about to take you around the world and back. And you're co-signing for that. Flip side, same thing with a guy. When they say, guys want these risque women, for lack of a better word. They want these women that are ghetto and tacky and disrespectful and rude. Sometimes what they want really is a woman that stands up for them and fight for them because they felt like their mother never did. They felt like that everything came before them when it pertains to their mother, or not even just mother, their guardians. So when that is happening, and now you get this woman that's like on the hood of your car acting a fool. She's slicing your tires. She's doing all of this to get your attention. And then she's turning around. She's loving on you right after. You talking about toxic? You call it toxic. I call it trauma. But we're going to dive in a little bit deeper on the next episode, because we're not going to end it here. This is getting really, really juicy. We're not going to end it here. Like, we need to get into these like relationships and connect the dots so we can start picking and choosing differently. For those of you who are still single, those of you who are still looking for your one, we can get you to that one if we could figure out where the trauma comes from. And I'm saying we because I'm just going to put the scenarios out there. I'm not diagnosing anybody. I told you I'd take that assessment test. It is hold on, I had a brain freeze. It is the attachment style assessment test. They all are free, if I'm not mistaken. The most they want is your email address. But they will definitely help you identify. And I listen, when you take it, be honest. Nobody's watching. The people on the other side or whoever's tallying the score does not know. They don't know you. So they're not going to be like, oh yeah, that's the one that's clingy and crazy. Or that's the one that has no emotions and no feelings and don't care about anyone. They're not doing that. So be really, really, really honest with yourself when taking the test. That's the way that you're going to get the best assessment. That's the way that you are going to be able to now pinpoint and identify those traumas, the decision making, and the habits. Because there's more to come. We're diving into this now. This is a thing. Yeah, this is a thing. And y'all are stuck with me. So let's help each other. Let's continue to heal. Let's go from the hurt. Let's remove the hardness. And let's be healed. Let's be better. At the end of the day, really what our main desire should be is to be the best version of who God called us to be. We got stuff to do. We got work in the earth. But if you all jacked up, you the problem. Let's get it together. I love y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and leave. I'm going to go ahead to my home. I'm going to get up out of your home. And I'm going to go home to my home. And until the next episode, which is when? Mondays, it drops at noon. And I will be live around that time. So if you would like to message me during that time frame to just discuss some of your ideas and some of your views, please, please, please do so. I would love to hear from y'all live. But until next time, you be safe, you be secured. Bye, loves.